This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, and our guest is Jason Lamberth.
So, you were in New York City, you had a wife, you had a child, only one child, and then you moved to Germany, correct?
We had 2 children at that time.
Oh, 2 children, okay.
Yeah, 2009 we moved to Bali. That's where I make my furniture. I'd been going there since the 90s, so I already spoke the language. I knew my way around it, and it was a dream of mine, like, wow, because I would travel from New York, which is a 21-hour flight to Bali, so...
And sorry, what language do they speak there?
Indonesian.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I have only been to Malaysia.
Yes.
Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam. I know
Malaysia is
Indonesia
the same. It's I can understand
Malay
Malay
too.
when I go there, but it's like speaking German, but Austrian German is much different. Or
I wouldn't know that.
anyway, but so we went there, and it was a dream come true for me. Because I built a factory in Bali right next to the Green School, which is it was in its second year then. Now it's been there for 20 years, but at the time we were the second year, so we were essentially it was a test, of having the school in Bali. It's a private school, and it was about green. Issues, all of the classes were made from bamboo, and it was open, and it was very, very exotic, like you're at a Robinson Crusoe school or something. And they loved it, and my factory was 5 minutes away, so I was living a dream life, like living in Bali with my family, because I started to say, I was traveling back and forth, and I would come to Bali for 3 weeks, and it was just a lot, and then I'd come back, and I was like, God, wouldn't it be great if we lived here? I wonder what that would be like. And so we had it. In the end, it didn't work out for a couple of reasons, but so we ended up going there for a year and then realizing, okay, this isn't working. Where can we go now? We're not going to go back to New York. Let's go to Berlin, where my ex-wife is from, and that's what we ended up doing. Then we were in Berlin, and then it was, we ended up getting a divorce not long after that. And then that's when a whole nother spiritual...
So wait, you went to Bali and stayed there for a year, and then to Germany. And how many years you lived there before getting a divorce?
It was pretty quick. I mean, it was like within a year we were split up.
Why? What happened?
Yeah, that's a whole long... I mean, I've kind of put it together now. In the end, she ended up getting back together with the boyfriend she had before she left Germany to come to New York. So she was with this guy, and they're still together, actually. They got together somehow. I found out about it, and it kind of broke my heart, and then we ended up splitting up after that. Why did it happen? I think it wasn't the boyfriend. I mean, I think it was, I think we both, I mean, we'd probably need 3 episodes to talk about why it happened, but ultimately I think we both uncovered fears that my biggest fear collided with her biggest fear, and then it turned into that. I think we could have worked it out on one hand. On the other hand, and it would have saved us both a lot of pain and suffering and family and all of that, because I'm very committed to family and very committed to that, and I would have stayed together with her forever. I mean, that was kind of the background and where I come from. You don't get divorced. I was the only one that got divorced in my family, and it wasn't comfortable. I wasn't able to talk to anybody, so it was a very difficult time. But back to your question, if you looked at the movie, you'd say, oh, she hooked up with her old boyfriend again. That's what it was. But I think on a deeper level, after much analysis, we both were up against each other's deepest fears. So on one hand, it was a gift that we both, because nobody would have been able to unlock that door except her. And I don't think nobody would have been able to unlock her door of what went wrong in her mind about this whole thing without me. So in some ways we both kind of brought, because we had an amazing marriage. I mean, we really had, like, people, when they found out we got divorced, they're like, what? You guys are like, we didn't fight. We didn't, and we had a great marriage and we had a good time. And, so yeah, I could go into that more, but I think we would need a whole episode for that. But ultimately, now we've gotten to a point where we, like we spent Christmas together, but not a lot. But I went to Germany with my daughter, my oldest. She lives there. My youngest lives in New York, and had Christmas. We all went there, and so we spent some time with my ex-wife, but. It's wild because we were best friends. I mean, really good friends, really all the way around. And then now we don't talk to each other. It's strange.
It is.
But it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but see, you already said that.
Yeah.
When you went through the first heartbreak. I'm calling it a heartbreak.
Yeah.
You were star of football and then things changed.
Yeah.
And I questioned you, what if your calling was shifting? And you did say yes. So here also, what did you think, what changed after becoming solo? I'm not going to say single, by yourself again?
Well, I really went through a major Job-like experience where I experienced losing everything, not just like my business went down. I mean, I ended up, like, I had this amazing business here. I mean, I was doing huge projects.
You had a business in Germany too.
Yeah, but it completely shifted. And by that time, like, I moved my business to Bali, and then a year later, I moved my business to Berlin. I mean, at that time, that's when and when I went to Berlin, a friend of my ex-wife's had a PR company. This is a long story, but she needed a guy with gray hair. I was in my 40s then, so it wasn't white. It was more gray and sandy. And she's like, I need somebody, just to go to this audition for this commercial. I just need to show that I'm. She had a casting agency as well. And long story short, I went. It was for Olympus. I had no clue. I'm just going to do good for my ex-wife's friend. She needed a favor. She just go. I need them to know that I can find people like you. So I'm like, all right. I have a master's in theater. I'm like, I could do this in the back of my hand. So I go in there. I'm like, well, I'm here. I'm gonna have fun. So I just start exploring the room. It was for Olympus. I'm a photographer. He's like, okay, you're this famous photographer, and you forgot your camera got lost in the airport, and it hasn't arrived, but you need to do this shoot now, and you have this Olympus that you brought for your vacation or whatever. Go. And then I just and I just got on the floor, and I was with these models, and I was doing all this stuff. Long story short, I got the part. I got it. So it was a big production, and I made $10,000, for a day's work, and I was the star of it, and that's when I was like, oh, maybe I'll just, we're in Berlin now. I don't know how about my business. Maybe I'll just do this. Maybe this is my calling. I'm back to my calling. So the calling thing is a very interesting thing because that's never left me, and it's still with me today. I have a different perspective on it now, but there was that calling always, like, oh, now here we are, we're in Berlin, the family's here, we're going to do all this. Maybe this is how the calling got me back into the business, because it was like the first audition I'd been to in 20 years. And I nailed it, and I got it. And I was like, gosh, this is so easy. I'm gonna just this is a sign, you know. And I ended up doing stuff with them for, I guess a decade. I did 3 or 4 commercials a year, something like that there. But I didn't think of it in terms of, I still have my business. What were we talking about before?
Divorce.
Yeah, so...
But you also went to mediation or counseling, the term you used.
Yeah, that was before we moved. That was prior. That was so we had some problems. So back to so we went to that Buddhist lecture on not having. So
that was in Indonesia.
That was in New York. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so basically he was saying you don't need to change the wife, change yourself, and then she'll change. And I was just like, gosh, I really want to try this. I mean. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, and he gave this whole thing, and you need to meditate, and you need to do this, and you need to blah blah blah. But eventually, you'll shift the situation. And I'm like, well, I owe it to myself. I owe it to my daughter. The second one wasn't born yet. I owe it to my ex-wife. I mean, we were partners, and I was like, you know what, this is important. We need to do this, and. I'm going to do what he says, and I can change one exercise, for instance, like before they walk in the door. Like if you hear them, you're inside, and they're gonna put the key in the door, and they're about to come in. Once you hear that key coming in, and you know it's your wife, you have this already existing narrative. She's going to come in, she's going to complain, she's going to call me this, she's going to do da-da-da-da. And you have all this stuff before she even walks in. There's this whole thing that before she walks in, you're already preparing for. And he was saying, instead of preparing for that thing you think she's going to do, because she could come in and be the example, just think what good thing you want her to do, and think about that. So I just started thinking things like, okay, here comes my angel. She's going to da-da-da-da. And I would just do that. And it kind of was like, it felt good, yeah. And then eventually I just started doing that for every time. And eventually within 2 months, we were back together, and everything was fine. And that lasted for another 8 years or so. But that once I saw that it worked, I'm like, ooh, I'm hooked. And then he said, look, I've got a meditation class that's going to be in 3 months or something. So I was planning on going to the meditation class anyway. By the time the 3 months was over, I couldn't wait for that class to start, because my whole life was shifting. My marriage was back together. My business started booming. Things that I didn't even know that I didn't want. I didn't even know that it was a problem. They came and they left. It was weird. It was all these amazing coincidences were happening. And even I even met a Buddhist monk at a Starbucks in Manhattan, and just started a conversation with him, and just and I'd never really done that before. I would see these people there before, and I just never paid attention to them, and I was never going to talk to them, engage with them. So I'd see this guy with the Buddhist monk, and I was just like, so this whole stuff started opening up to me. Then I finally got to the class, and the class was amazing, and it was like a 2-month class, once a week, and my life completely, a whole bunch of changes were happening. More business, more happiness. Da, da, da. Eventually, at the end of that class, I had to talk to the teacher, and I was like, I need to talk to you before we go, please. And it's like, yeah, what's going on? And I was like, well, things that I don't want, they're just leaving me. I got back together with my wife. My business is going through the roof. Things that I didn't even know that I didn't want. Like, I didn't even know it was a problem, that they would come up tell me they're a problem, and then they would go away. It's hard to describe, but there was stuff like that. It was just, stuff was falling. It was effortless. And he's sitting there, okay, so what's the problem? He's like, I'm freaking out. I'm totally freaking out. I don't know what to do.
Because there's no problem.
Yeah. And he was saying, you know, like, this is your natural state. Just consider that this could be your natural state, and things falling apart is your unnatural state, and you're starting to see that now, and you weren't able to see it before, and this whole thing brought you to that precipice so that you could see that. And I was like, wow. And then I just like had a tear coming down. He's like, you know, you're a teacher, right? Just like you said earlier. He's like, you should teach. I'm like, I wasn't thinking about doing the teaching from my talent or ability to do it. I was thinking, if I teach, then I'm really going to know how to do this, because my life has shifted so much in these 2 or 3 months. I'm going to learn this like the back of my hand, and then I'm really going to be able to control, you know. And that was my motivation, obviously to help people as well, but from a personal perspective, it was like, I'm going to really learn these, and I'm going to be able to study with him, and da, da, da. So that's how I got into teaching. And the first time I started to teach, now when I was teaching, like, I didn't change and not be a Christian and convert to Buddhism. Like, I said these things and I learned these things, but I also, and the Buddhist monk too, he would always give other references from the Bible or from the Quran or from other, like he was or from astrology. He was using things for this symbolic meaning, and not necessarily from the proselytizing perspective. And so and that's how I looked at it. I didn't think I was changing religion at that point. I was kind of like, I'm not into this whole religion thing anymore, but I can see the spiritual truths behind Buddhism or behind Islam or behind Christianity, or other religions. But I used it from that perspective, and the first class that I did was so I thought I would teach it in my apartment, and I thought I'd have 4 or 5 friends there. And then the first friend I called was a guy that I knew. He would come because he had a yoga studio, and he's like, yeah, we meditation, and we need to do it, and blah blah blah. So because I'd been telling him about meditation, I was like, hey man, I'm going to teach meditation at my apartment. Why don't you come? And long story short, he said, I was thinking. He called me a week later. Why don't you do the class at the yoga studio? It's in Midtown. It's a great location. And then I'm like, perfect. Okay. And he's like, don't worry about a thing. I'll have the manager call you a week before. I think I don't even know the schedule. She'll call you, blah, blah, blah. She called me. She's like, it's going to be in 2 months. And I'm perfect. I have 2 months to learn the material, and then I'll go. 2 months comes. She calls me the night before, and she's like, I just need to know how many people you have on your guest list. And I'm like, I think I have 4. And she's like, oh. And I'm thinking, okay, she's going to cancel it because there's not enough people. She's like, I don't know how we're going to fit everybody. There's 40 people that are already reserved. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. 40 people. Yeah. So I get there, and it's 40 people there, more than 40. And I'm sitting down, and I'm just bombing. I'd already gone through acting school, so I knew what bombing felt like and what it was. And I could just look at them and like, I completely lost this, and I was just scrambling. I knew the material, but I was just very nervous. And then I looked, and okay, I got to stop, and I just got to be real with them. So I was like, okay, look guys, I'm going to stop for a second. I'm totally freaking out right now. I had no idea there's going to be 40 fucking people here. And once I said that, everybody just relaxed, and I relaxed, and then I taught there was a minimum of 40 people every class. So that was, Then I went to Bali to do production, and I thought, well, I'm here for a month.
Furniture production.
Yeah, furniture production. I'm here for a month. I'll see if this yoga studio needs a meditation teacher. And I went in there, long story short, she's like, oh my gosh, we need a meditation teacher. Eventually 40 people. And eventually she was saying, okay, it's too small here. We need to go to another place. So, and then I was doing it at a hotel. Then I went to Berlin, and then I did it at a yoga studio there. I had this following around.
And this is before your marriage fell apart.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah. And then I did that on the side, and then I did my work. But I looked at them both as the same thing. Like I put a lot of effort. I was up every morning. I had 2 kids at the time, so in order to meditate and to study all these texts, because I was studying Buddhist texts and stuff like that, I needed to get up at 4 in the morning before my kids got up, and then I would have 2 hours. From 4 to 6, I'd have an hour and a half to study and get myself ready, and then 30 minutes or so to meditate, and then my kids would wake up. So I did that for 10 or 12 years.
Wow.
And then I taught. So I taught the curriculum. This monk, he was an American, and he was the first American to get this title, basically a PhD in Buddhism. And he brought that back to America, and I worked directly with him. And anyway, I did that for a long time. It was an amazing experience. My business boomed, my life boomed. We had an amazing life, apartment in the city, house in the Hamptons, famous clients, stuff in Europe. And then we moved, but when we moved to Berlin, and then like the eventual divorce, like at that time, like I was at the peak of my life, like like I said it happened, you know, like I was kind of like in that situation where, wow, like I can do anything. I think I got overly confident, you know, like if I look back as a businessman, it's not smart to leave an A-list client list, an A-list black book in America, and then go all the way across the world to Bali. You know, you need to be where your people are.
Right.
So that wasn't the best move. And then to up and move a year later and go to Berlin, and you don't speak the language, that it's a different culture, it's not good for business, you know. It wasn't, but I wasn't thinking business. I was confident. I was, you know, had all this stuff going on. And B, I just felt like the calling was so intact, like it's all going to work out. I just had a lot of faith that, okay, I've been through a whole remake before. I went from, because technically, football was my first wife.
Right.
I mean, I loved that sport like a wife, you know, like whatever I needed to do, I did. And then, so my second wife was my first wife, you know, and now I have a third wife, which is this. Now this is the third wife, like podcasting, acting. I still do the design, and I still love it, but I definitely want to.
You still have a store?
I don't. I had a warehouse here in Red Hook. It was beautiful. Then I had a place out in the Hamptons. And then I had a place in Berlin. I don't have a place here, and that's kind of when I knew. When I came back to New York, and I just kind of like, I started questioning whether I really wanted to do that. It's a lot of expense, and it's a lot of stuff, and also it's a lot of time, and I just wanted to see how's the best way to do it. Stuff started not working out in my business, and things like that, and then eventually, just recently, that's what got me into like, you know what, I'm just going to start doing this acting stuff just because I want to do something I like to do. And it, like, I started making money right away, and I kind of felt like, oh, okay, so this seems like another, I've been in this calling chair before.
Yeah.
Like when stuff like just starts falling in your lap, it's kind of, to me, like, okay, I've seen these signs before. I don't need any more signs. I see it. So yeah. So that's how I'm kind of in this situation. And things are cool. I'm going to shoot a commercial. I'm catching a flight tonight.
Right
I'll be in
after
Atlanta.
this.
Next week I go to Orlando.
Cool.
You know, stuff like that. I do want to. These are commercials, and I do want to do films and theater. Yeah, but I got to get myself back into acting shape, and I'm doing that now. Yeah,
Great.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. But back to it, I think I haven't lost that calling thing. It's just evolved. You know, my idea of calling. God doesn't need people saving the planet. There's nothing to save. It's perfect as it is. It would be sort of like, you know, like everybody has this idea like the world has to be perfect. But think about football, for instance. You know, that's a violent sport. People get hurt. Let's say somebody comes along and like, you know, like I don't want any, like the game has evolved. Like they're always making new rules to help people be more safe and to be less inclined to get hurt. But if you wanted to like completely get rid of injuries, maybe somebody would say, well, there's offense and defense. What if we got rid of defense and it was only offense? Then nobody would get hurt because then you're just going to be playing with yourself, you know?
Right.
But then you don't have a game anymore. And I think that's like this world is perfectly imperfect for us to grow and for us to discover these spiritual nuggets of truth, these gold nuggets. But it takes a world that's chaotic for you to get to the place where you've got to get so still so that you can hear and understand, and you know what I mean. And I don't. So my calling before the divorce, and that was like a marker, was to save the world. I wanted to have something to do. I wanted to do my part. Do my part and to help the world be saved. Now I don't see it that way.
So
at all.
when you just save like Batman concept, not like not like keeping things in order or making the things better. So that's why I like to use the term better. Just I wanted to make sure. Saving, and I don't know how they got into that symbolism, saving the world, these superheroes are saving the world. But I like to use the phrase, better place. For example, if this place is clean, if we have temperature and good decoration, it's something to make us, both of us in this case, comfortable and warm and feel welcomed, which is different than the concept of saving to me.
I think I don't have any. I don't believe in saving this world. Like I said, it's perfect the way it is, and it can go upside down if you don't know what you're doing. And I think that's what this world is here for. You know, like when I was playing football, for instance, by the time I got to college, I was highly recruited. I could have gone to any college I wanted. When I got to college, the game was faster. They're stronger than me. Now when I was in high school, I was the big guy, and now I'm just the small guy. And so I had moments of doubt, and in my first year, I was really like, I was really convinced, I don't think I like football anymore. I really, I grew up loving it. My dream was to be where I was. It was all there. But I was getting used to the speed of the place, and it's hard, but mostly just my own confidence. These guys I was getting beat, and I just couldn't deal with it, and I wanted to quit. I definitely wanted to quit. Luckily, I didn't. And eventually, one day, I came, and it just, I don't know how to describe it, but the game slowed down for me. I was able to see, and then I went on, and I had a good career. It was short, but it was, I was on my way. I think life is like that too. Like once you kind of like this situation where okay, stuff starts getting easy for me in acting, but eventually it gets to the point where you get to that okay, uh, are you going to quit or are you going to go forward?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because and I think anything in life that's worth doing, you it should take you to the brink of wanting to quit because it requires everything, you know. It requires everything, and even with this acting stuff, I definitely have my doubts. Like like, what am I doing? I'm getting back into this thing, but I kind of learned at an early age to not pay attention to those voices.